Hey guys, welcome back. It's Krystal. So today I have a review and demo for you on the new Hard Candy Glamoflauge Foundation. This is what it looks like right here. I picked mine up at Walmart about 2 weeks ago, and I initially did a review and demo on this video, but I felt like I was missing some key points, so I decided to refilm. So it has now been 2 weeks since I've been testing out the foundation, and I really have my full thoughts on this product. And I think the packaging is cute. It's just a plastic container, but it has a pump, which is a big deal for a lot of people, and it's only $7, so it's super affordable. Now, the color selection, I think they may have had like 8 shades or so. I didn't really count them. I'm not 100% sure on the shade selection, but there might have been about 8 shades or so, so not everybody's going to be able to find their color. Now, I initially picked up the shade in Porcelain, which was the lightest shade, and when I held it up to my hand, I thought it was going to be a match, but it actually wasn't. When I got home and put it on my face, it was super white, so I had to return that one, didn't have a problem returning that. And then I went back and picked up these two because I could not decide between the two. This one here is called Ivory, and this one is called Fair. So at first I mixed these two together, but I felt like it was still too light. The Ivory was definitely too light on its own, and the Fair, which does not look like a fair shade at all, actually works out perfect, even though it looks dark in the bottle, and when I put it on the back of my hand it looks dark, but once I apply it to my face it looks really good. So as you can see, it matches me pretty well. Now, I wouldn't say it's an exact match to my skin tone, but it's pretty good. It's pretty close. I would say this is a neutral undertone, the one in Fair. So packaging's nice, price is great. You could find it at Walmart. I'm not sure if you could buy these on hardcandy.com or not. I'm just going to read to you what it says on the bottle, and then we will get into the demo. So on the front it says Invisible Camouflage Foundation, and on the back it says a transforming liquid powder foundation that absorbs oil, camouflages imperfections, and delivers a long-lasting velvet finish. This skin perfecting fluid contains superfine pigments for seamless full coverage without looking caked on. Infused with kaolin clay for exceptional wear and oil absorption, skin retains natural moisture for 12 hours of flawless perfection and transfer resistance. Pairs perfectly with our Glamoflauge concealers for extra covering power. So in here you get 1.1 fluid ounce, and it's made in the USA and is not tested on animals. We'll go ahead and get into the demo. You can see a before and after of my face, and then once I do the demo I will come back and let you know my final thoughts. I just have a headband on to get my hair out of my face, and I'm going to go ahead and apply the foundation, but I just want to talk about my skin a little bit. As you can tell, I have lots of discoloration, hyperpigmentation, redness, so I do not have an even skin tone on my face. I'm going to go ahead and apply the shade in Fair, and I know this is like crazy because you look at this and you're like, this is fair? To me this looks like it could be light to medium, like a light to medium shade, but this one's called Fair. I also have the color in Ivory, so the color in Ivory is actually too light. It looks like it would match me, especially like on my arm and stuff, but when I applied it like directly to my face by itself, it was way too light. So I tried to mix them together. I felt like it was still a little too light, so then I just decided to use the one in Fair, which is crazy because it looks dark. It looks darker than my hand. It looks dark when I apply it to the back of my hand, but as I start to blend it into the skin, it actually starts to look perfect. So, I mean, it's not the exact perfect shade, but it starts to blend into the skin nicely, and it doesn't look darker than the rest of my neck. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and pump some on the back of my hand. I'm gonna do one full pump. So that's what one full pump looks like. And as you can see, the consistency is runny. It's not the runniest foundation that I've used, but it is a runny consistency. I'm gonna do one side of my face, and then you can see the difference between the two. So I'm just gonna get some on my finger and just kind of dot it on my face. I actually usually get it straight from the pump and pump it on my finger and then dot it on my face. That way I don't get too much. But for the sake of the video, I just pumped it on the back of my hand and then applied it to my face. So for this, I'm going to take the Real Techniques. This is the buffing brush. Yes, the buffing brush. Haven't used this in a while, and a lot of my other Sigma flat top kabukis, they're dirty. So this is the one we're using today. And as you can see, it blends out really easy. So it definitely evens out my skin tone a lot. I would say it's about medium coverage. It says it's full coverage on the bottle, but in my personal opinion, I have other full coverage foundations like the Estee Lauder Double Wear and my Becca, there's a Becca one. It's the complexion cream or something like that. That one's super full coverage. So in my opinion, this is not a full coverage foundation. I would say it's medium. It is buildable, but you could also wear a really light layer and make it light coverage. So it's kind of versatile because you can kind of get all three coverages with it. You can build it up, but I feel like when I built it up, I didn't really like the way it looked on my skin when I had too much on. So I prefer doing like one full layer on the face, and then if I need to touch up certain areas, then I'll just do that instead of applying a whole nother layer on my face. So as you can see, it just really evens out my skin tone. I love the finish of it. I would say it says it's a velvety finish. I would say it's a velvet finish. It kind of has a demi-matte finish. It's not like a flat matte, but it does kind of have that liquid to powder finish. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side of my face. As you can see, it really evens out my skin tone. Has nice coverage. I just really have been enjoying this foundation. It's definitely a good foundation for the drugstore, I would say. So I'm just going to touch up a little bit in this area right here. This is kind of where I have acne scarring and a little bit of redness, like more redness, that I usually like to cover up a little bit more. So I'm just gonna take what's left from that full pump and just apply it to these areas right here. And I'm actually just gonna take the brush this time and go like this on the back of my hand and lightly pat that. I just prefer to pat it in the areas that I need. So there's the foundation, just pat it a little bit on these areas just to give it a little bit more coverage in that area right there. I don't like to apply a whole second layer onto my entire face because I don't like the way it looks that way with pretty much any foundation. I just feel like it starts to look too cakey. I mean, this foundation doesn't look cakey as other ones when you do 2 layers, but I just personally like just to pat it on the areas that I find that I need a little bit more coverage. So yeah, it looks really good. I love the way it looks. It has a velvety, I would say demi-matte finish, not a flat matte. And I'm just gonna go ahead and do the rest of my makeup and I will be back to talk more about the foundation. So I did apply the rest of my makeup. I do not feel like I need to set this foundation with a powder. It does have a demi-matte finish. It's not a flat matte. It is more of a demi-matte, and I personally really like the finish of it. It glides right onto the skin as you saw in the demo. doesn't have any problem blending out. You don't have to work quickly. You can take your time blending it, but it really blends really effortlessly, which I love about it. It has that serum type texture that a lot of foundations have these days. You know, the serum type foundations are very popular. It seems like every brand is coming out with them. So I feel like the finish of it and the texture of it is like a serum based foundation. I really like the way it blends out. I love the way it looks on the skin. It's very lightweight. It doesn't feel like I have any foundation on my face. It doesn't look heavy. It doesn't look cakey. In my opinion, I feel like it has a medium coverage. Now you can use less of the product and get a very light coverage if that's what you want. I think if you had flawless skin, not lots of hyperpigmentation, very even skin tone, I think you could get away with using a very light coverage. But I do think that the foundation is more of a medium coverage. It says it's full coverage and you can build it up, but I personally don't like to build up my foundations too much. Even with this one being really lightweight and not looking cakey, I just don't like the way it looked adding too much product. So I don't like to apply 2 layers of the foundation. I just like to do 1 layer and then touch up like in this area here with a little bit more product like you saw in the demo. So it really evens out my skin tone. It just looks really good and it feels really lightweight. It doesn't feel like I have anything on my face. And I love the fact that I don't have to set it with a powder. So I think that's awesome. I think the lasting power is pretty good. It has lasted on me for my full shift. A lot of times I work a 12-13 hour shift and it really did hold up through my entire shift. I didn't have to blot my face. I didn't have to touch up with powder. I thought it looked really, really good on the skin. Now I found that when I used it with a silicone based primer, then it did make the foundation kind of shift weird around the nose area, and it did make me a little bit oily in the nose area. So I didn't really like using it with a silicone based primer. I preferred just to use it with you know, bare skin, just my moisturizer underneath, or with something that is not like too silicone based. Like for instance, the NYX Angel Veil. Like if you really want it to last all day and look, you know, pretty matte, like a demi matte, but not flat, I think that the NYX Angel Veil worked really well with it. Today I didn't apply it with any primer. It looks really good. I just love the way it looks. The other thing I love about it is that it has a pump and it's only $7. So I think that's amazing. A lot of people love having a pump on their foundation, especially a drugstore foundation for only $7. Like it blows my mind. So I feel like 1 full pump covers my entire face. As you saw in the demo, I don't need to do 2 layers. I think 1 layer with a little bit of touching up in certain areas looks perfect. So I'm really digging this foundation. I think it's a great one. I do think if you have a really, really dry skin, it may cling to dry patches. So serum type foundations do tend to cling to dry patches. I have not personally experienced that because I've been moisturizing my face and exfoliating every single day. I've been trying to take better care of my skin, so I haven't had any problems with that. But just a note, just in case you do have really dry skin, it may cling to dry patches. I'm not 100% sure. Now if you're super, super oily, I'm not sure how it would hold up as well because my skin's not very oily right now. Just a little bit here and there, but it's been pretty, I would say pretty normal. So I haven't had a huge problem with oiliness. Now some days I'm a little bit more oily than others, but with that being said, I don't know how well it would hold up if you have super oily skin. But for people that have like normal combination skin, I think it would be a really good foundation for you to try. Now, as far as the color selection goes, gosh, I didn't count how many colors they had at Walmart, but I would say there might have been about 8 shades or so. Not 100% sure. Again, I feel like the color range looks kind of dark. However, like this looks too dark for me, but when I blend it out into my skin, it kind of lightens up. So I just feel like the foundation looks dark in the tube, but as soon as you start applying it to the face, it really lightens up. It's not as dark. It doesn't apply as dark as it looks in the bottle. So one other thing I want to mention before I end this video is that it says it's transfer resistant. I would not say that's 100% true. Now, if you're someone who touches your face a lot, or you're like kissing on your kids or something like that, then you might have some problems with it transferring. But then again, you can set it with a powder to help prevent that. I personally feel like I don't need to set it with a powder. So I did experience a little bit of transferring when I was at work. Sometimes I wear a mask so that I don't get sick. Like if somebody's coughing, sneezing, you know, has a fever, I will wear a mask, and I felt that especially one day that I wore it, I took off the mask and it had this really blotchy spot right here. It like completely wore off my bronzer, my blush, and my foundation. So obviously not everybody's going to be wearing a mask every day, and not everybody touches their face every day. So for me, it's really not that big of an issue. But if you're somebody, like I said, who's going to be kissing on somebody, like your kids, or you kind of touch your face a lot, then you might have a problem with it transferring. But I personally don't like touching my face at all. I never put my sticky fingers on my face. I'm just a germaphobe. I don't like touching my face. I generally don't like to have my phone touching my face. When I talk on the phone, I will talk like this because I don't want the phone touching anywhere near my face, because the phone just has so many germs, and I'm sure you would get a little bit of transfer onto the phone. So if you're somebody who doesn't touch your face and stuff like that, I think you would be completely fine. So that's pretty much it for this review and demo. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If I forgot to answer any questions that you may have, please comment down below and I'll try to respond as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a fabulous day. Bye.